I was born of heterosexual parents. I was taught by heterosexual teachers in a fiercely heterosexual society with television ads and newspaper ads, fiercely heterosexual, a society that puts down homosexuality. And why am I homosexual if I'm affected by role models? I should have been a heterosexual, and no offense meant, but if teachers are going to affect you as role models, there'd be a lot of nuns running around the streets today.
Gus Van Sant's film about Harvey Milk, California's first openly gay elected official, has been soaking up some well-deserved accolades this year, including 8 Oscar nominations and dozens more from guilds and critics groups. But a film about Harvey Milk has already won an Oscar. That movie is The Times of Harvey Milk, which won 1984's Oscar for Best Documentary, and is, in my mind, the better of 2 very good films. Like Milk, The Times of Harvey Milk follows Harvey's rise to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and his tragic assassination at the hands of fellow city supervisor Dan White. But while Van Sant's version sticks closely to Harvey's campaigns and inner circle, the documentary branches out, capturing the time and place that gave birth to the Castro, the San Francisco neighborhood that would eventually become the gayest place in the known universe, and where a 42-year-old Harvey opened a camera store that would later become his campaign headquarters. And unlike Milk, the documentary devotes over a third of its time to the period following the murders of Harvey and then Mayor George Moscone. This allows for a greater focus on Dan White, the Vietnam veteran and former policeman and fireman who committed the murders after resigning as city supervisor. White, a Norman Rockwell throwback of the all-American guy, is portrayed as a tragic figure in his own right, a man who saw himself as a protector of white, Christian family values, fighting a losing battle against an onslaught of diversity and depravity. You also get to learn about White's trial, an O.J.-sized debacle that introduced the world to what would later be called the Twinkie defense, which claimed that White's murderous urges might have been a result of eating too much sugary junk food. But the real travesty was the verdict, which saw White convicted of manslaughter, not first-degree murder, a decision that sparked the violent White Night riots and saw Dan White back on the streets just 5 years later. The fact that White wasn't jailed for life is a sad example of the distortions prejudice can create in our legal system, though it might also say something about karma, since White committed suicide 2 years after he was released. But the most obvious thing that lifts The Time of Harvey Milk above Van Sant's version is that you get to see and hear the real Harvey Milk and the real people who knew him. As much as I liked Milk, it's hard not to find yourself admiring Sean Penn's performance instead of the man he's portraying. That's not Penn's fault, but after seeing the documentary, I felt that someone who just saw Milk without seeing The Times of Harvey Milk was kind of being cheated, like someone who saw Will Smith in Ali without ever seeing archival footage of the actual Muhammad Ali. Harvey was truly larger than life, way larger than Sean Penn or really any other actor, and there's just no substitute for the charisma and humor of the real thing. In The Times of Harvey Milk, you see that Harvey didn't just fight for gay people, but also for the elderly, Asians, union workers, and anyone else whose voice wasn't being heard in the halls of power. Harvey wasn't a threat to the establishment because he was gay, but because he was a true grassroots outsider, demanding change and willing to take political risks to make it happen. He didn't just fight for gay rights, but really for gay people, constantly calling, challenging, imploring, and practically willing them to come out of the closet and live without fear or shame. Harvey showed bravery not just by being openly gay, but also by taking strong and vocal stances on issues and facing death threats every day he did it. To be honest, I can't think of any politicians in my lifetime who've displayed the kind of personal or political courage Harvey Milk did during his brief political career. But if there's someone out there who's ready to take up Harvey Milk's mantle, I'd like to say, come out, wherever you are. This is Jonathan Kim, and this is a Brave New Review.